Do you remember your first playoff game?
My first playoff game, I do.
What do you remember about it?
I was nervous as fuck. That's what I remember.
This was third year?
This was third year.
Third year.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, we can look it up and figure out when was the last time the Cavs were in the postseason. But that was just like, my first year, okay, I was like established myself in my first year. Second year, we missed the playoffs by maybe 1 or 2 games. And it's like, okay, I'm here to like play ball, but I want to make the next step. I got to get this franchise to the postseason. And my third year, we finally made the postseason, and our first game was against Washington at home. I was nervous as hell. My stomach was hurting all goddamn long, all day literally until the ball jumped.
Why do you think? Like, what have you reflected on that? Why do you think you were more nervous for that game than any other game?
Well, it's 2 games. My first ever game in Sacramento, and then I didn't want to fucking lay an egg.
I think
obviously everybody was watching.
This is not a narrative podcast. I just want to be clear on this. But I think what you're admitting here is that you felt the burden, you felt the pressure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Pressure. Who's under more pressure?
Yeah, who is it? What's pressure? What is pressure? No, I didn't want to lay an egg, man. I was, 20 years old. Got the team to the postseason. I didn't want to go out there and shit the bed. I was maybe 21, maybe. But like, I didn't want to shit the bed. First playoff game, look out there, it's Gilbert Arenas and Antoine Jameson and Caron Butler and those guys. They were.
The further you go into playoffs, to win, you have to be a high IQ team.
Yep.
It's obviously emotionally draining because of there is pressure. It's different. You feel more with each win and loss. You get to 2 losses in a series. You get to 3 losses in a series, an elimination game. You're down 3-2. You've got to go on the road to San Antonio. They won the championship last year. You've got to muster up enough to beat them to get back home.
Yep.
That emotional toll is a lot. The physical toll, of course, playing.
Right.
To me, like the mental side of it, I think that is a huge separator because oftentimes mental mistakes within a game can lead to a series loss.
For sure.
I think about one I made. I was in Orlando. We were playing in the conference finals against Boston, and I had played a good game. And there was a timeout. Let's say there was 29 seconds. There was a 5 or 6 second difference between shot clock and game clock. And go to the timeout. I know we have a timeout. We get the stop. I get the rebound.
You dribble.
First I looked at Stan. And I'm not saying it was his fault.
Right.
I knew there was a timeout. I knew I should have called a timeout. And I looked at him and he didn't do anything. So then I just instinctively put the ball on the floor and then he called a timeout.
Yeah, and now you can't advance the ball.
So now we got 3 seconds and we've got to take it out 3/4 court, opposite foul line.
Yep.
And we didn't get a good shot off.
Everything that's going to be thrown at you. And obviously everybody makes adjustments, and then you got the great players that don't matter what type of fucking game plan you got on them, they're going to exploit it no matter what. But as much as you can be prepared going out for a series, and it changes. That game 1 is kind of like the filler game. You almost like tell your players, just go out and just fucking play. Like, just go out and play game 1. Don't think too much, because if you start thinking too much, now you can't even just be a player no more, because now you're just trying to think the game. But me personally, I want overload.
I feel like that franchise, for one, is an iconic brand within the NBA. I feel like that market is a basketball market that needs the influence of the NBA team in that city, so to continue to inspire that city and bring and produce more and more basketball players. Because I believe that. I believe if a city has an NBA team, you will get more and more kids inspired to want to become NBA players, as opposed to not having a team. And it's a franchise I played for, so I have some pride for it. So, and I believe it will be back. I believe it will be a part of expansion in the league, and to help run the team and help guide the team as they come back into the league. I would absolutely love that. And when I retire, obviously that's a dream come true. That's probably one of the only things that I would really lock in like I would, like I was playing again. It would feel close to that.
And I know that you could truly walk in to a franchise, and I bet you our good friend Bob Myers would attest, because he's had countless hours of conversations with you about basketball.
I always enjoy watching other players. Even in high school, I always followed what I liked, and players in my class and players that were coming out of high school after me. I always kept my eye on them. But I think once I got to OKC, and me and Troy Weaver, who's the GM of Detroit now, we started having these little conversations just about players in college and high school, what he's seen out of players, and we would have these conversations periodically, and I was just always interested in those. So every chance I get to bring him to the side to just talk about a game or a player, I would do it, and that just started to build up my eye for the game. The different things I started to watch, the details that I started to watching throughout a game, and then each team I went to, I built that relationship with every GM, with Bob Myers, with Sean Marks, with Josh Bottlestein, James Jones right now. We just talk ball. And I think having those conversations over the last 15 years has helped shape my mind to understand what it takes to be a professional, on top of my own experience as a professional. So I feel like, I can add value to any franchise just based off of
the previous ones, just because of the star power, the expectations, you know what I mean?
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. There's expectations every time we step on the court. We can't lose a game, no matter who's on the team. So I think expectations is always gonna be there. I mean, it's definitely a deeper team that I think I've played on, deepest team I've played on since I've been with USAB. From top to bottom, everybody is the guy on their team, I think we had a lot of, the last Olympics, we had a couple younger, role players in the league that grinded their way up in camp and got that opportunity, which was cool. But they wasn't the best players on it. You know what I'm saying? These guys are Hall of Famers, all-star, so I'm excited about this. I think the experience of 21 helped the culture of USAB and what type of team we need to be if we want to continue to dominate. And I think we're bringing that into this group, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, we expecting that come out there and find his rhythm, get his legs up under him. It's going to take a couple weeks, or it'll take some time. However long it takes, we going to support him. But having his presence out there is going to be huge. I'm happy for him. He's been away from the game for so long. So we don't want to put too high expectations on him. But we're excited to have him back.
Kevin, you're 44 of your last 64. Do you remember a stretch, as far as from the field, where you've been this efficient?
Yeah, a couple times. I had 3-4 game stretches where I feel like I made every shot. They come and go. You know what I'm saying? I can't rely on. I can't go into games expecting that, if I don't put the work in, prepare the right way, that I'll make every shot. So I can't get comfortable right now that I'm shooting the ball solid. I just got to keep it going, keep preparing the right way, and keep my mind in the right place.